And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking a exciting, to be fair, Imola Grand Prix, simply because, well, there was action up and down the pack. On a track that had no overtaking, we certainly saw a lot of overtaking, more so than Japan. And let's be fair, a massive congratulations to Maestro Marvel Max Verstappen for getting the lead in what was an absolutely amazing move and keeping it. Helped him sort of with the safety car initially, then the safety car could have been a problem, but then McLaren's race also imploded. Yes, they got second and third, but it was a very beaten, very defeated, I feel, second and third, and well, we're going to tell you why. But first of all, absolute massive congratulations to this man here getting out of his car, Max Verstappen. He took the lead, he kept the lead, and this is obviously RBI Daily. Yes, they may be a bit biased, but I kind of agree. Max Verstappen wins the Imola Grand Prix. He pulled off, they say, the decisive overtake on Piastri at the opening lap and never looked back. Phenomenal drive for him against the mighty McLaren's. They were mighty, but and some people may think, sour grapes, that Red Bull is just as fast now as that McLaren. Max didn't make the difference. Max and the car made the difference. When you look back at Miami, absolutely horrendous in terms of the tyre wear. No one was going to make the difference here, but Max and that Red Bull, I think, at least in the race, was the best car driver package, although McLaren did everything they can to lose the race, which we'll most certainly get into a bit. So this is the full race standings. Max Verstappen winning. About 6 seconds down was Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri third. About 12.9 seconds down, Lewis Hamilton. We'll be talking about him in a bit. Fourth for Ferrari. Who would have imagined that? 14.3 seconds down. Alexander Albon in fifth. 17 seconds down, then Charles Leclerc 20 seconds down, then we had George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Isaac Hadjar, and yes, Yuki Tsunoda from the back, from the pit lane, Lones finishing 26 seconds down respectively, and then the rest, it must have been hard. Fernando Alonso out the points in spite of looking really good in qualifying and the race at one point. Hulkenberg in 12th, well done to him. Pierre Gasly 13th, Liam Lawson 14th, Lance Stroll 15th, Franco Colapinto 16th, Behrman 17th, Bortoletto 18th, Kimi Antonelli DNF, and so was Esteban Ocon, both of them DNF. And Kimi was having an okay race, but I think struggling like George Russell on those medium tyres with Mercedes. Now this was the start, and let's talk about the start, because this is very much where the race was won and lost by both McLaren and Max Verstappen. So as you can see, as we're there, we're heading down now. So at this point, as you can see, Oscar Piastri's here, yeah, a bit ahead there. He's, as far as nearly everyone's concerned, including myself, I was going to bet a large sum of money that Oscar Piastri would have come out the curve, come out the first corner first. Now, two things happen here, in my opinion. Absolutely amazing late braking from Max, an absolute lack of foresight from Oscar Piastri, which we don't normally see. So, I mean, George Russell, at this point here, when you look up, it looks like Max Verstappen is going to be third coming out the first corner. But no, Max doesn't. He then on the racing line, to be fair, now Oscar's trying to defend against George, thinking he's coming through. And he's got all this space to try and move to the middle and make it more difficult for Max, but he leaves Max an absolute barn door initially. The closer once he realises, but he still leaves him far too much space. But an absolutely amazing Max for around the outside, and then he's got the inside line there. So as amazing it was for a fantastic first corner move for Max, it was also an absolute disaster class for Oscar Piastri. I mean, yeah, this is Lando Norris 2024 style. So, as I mentioned, two things can be right at the same time. Oscar Piastri caught almost napping here. Verstappen, amazing move from what could have been third to come through to first, and that was the move that I think won the race because the pace was so similar for both of those cars. So a double podium, yes. Good points in the Constructors' Championship. We'll talk about the drivers, and what's also interesting is Jacques Villeneuve had something to talk about in relation to the drivers, and I thought it was very interesting. So he says they show weakness in relation to McLaren when their strategy call. Everything wrong under the safety car. They show weakness, he said. Basically, they don't show the strength that Red Bull are always showing year after year. It's as if they're afraid to be aggressive to try and win the Drivers' Championship, and they're afraid to go against Piastri. It's really, really odd. Completely agree. He said Piastri messed up at that first corner. He got caught out sleeping. He should never have come out the first corner second. and he didn't have the pace, which was odd. Completely agree again. It's not often I completely agree with Jacques Villeneuve, only occasionally. But he went on to say Norris had more pace. On the restart, McLaren knew that it was a matter of laps before Norris would have taken Piastri with the tyre difference. It was obvious. He goes on to say 100% sure he would get ahead, so why make him lose those 3 laps instead of giving him a shot at Verstappen? Because Verstappen is in for the championship. You don't want to give Verstappen wins. That's more points for him in the Drivers' Championship. They seem to be happy to with second and third. McLaren has a car where a good weekend means first and second. Anything less is a bit disappointing. First and third is fairly acceptable, but they seem happy with second. I couldn't agree more with you, Jack. And here's the issue. Let's talk about the thing you talked about first, yeah? And that is the call to not have Lando Norris go by Piastri. It was obvious that Norris was going to get Piastri. They got the same car, but a almost 18 lap on your tyre offset. It was a matter of time. So on the first or second corner, let Lando Norris by and at least have a shot at beating Verstappen. He was there or thereabouts at a very similar pace. Even when you saw Oscar Piastri's tyres, they looked like apple crumble, basically, and pristine Lando's tyres. It was absolutely, yes, McLaren have gone out, we're going to let them race yet. No, that's absolute rubbish. I'm sure they know they got it. They knew they got it wrong, and if they didn't, they need to really have a long, hard look in the mirror on Monday morning. It was a bit sad. But what was also equally pathetic, which wasn't really picked up by the pundits, was bringing Lando in. Okay, he was about 9.8 seconds behind Max at this point. And they brought him in. And I thought, okay, they've got some clear air. But no, he came out right behind 3 cars. The only thing that really saved them at this point then was, what saved Max was the virtual safety car that came out for, I believe, Ocon. Now, the virtual safety car, yeah, I'm not saying it saved Lando, but it gave the people the opportunity to pit ahead of him, so he kind of had clear air. But what was ridiculous is they didn't need to pit. They were pulling away. Why on earth was Max, they didn't pit the same lap Max Verstappen did? I just do not understand that at all. But they pitted Piastri really early into traffic. I do not understand that at all. He was only a few seconds behind Max. I don't get it. I just didn't understand. Excuse me. But there we go. Therein lies the issue. It was an absolute cluster if you were McLaren fans. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if this was, 2022, they'd all have a prancing horse on their back. But yeah, hang your heads in shame, McLaren strategy crew. But almost the opposite. Yes, he was, I think they were fourth, and they're fourth with Lewis Hamilton. But what a race. I mean, coming, from the bottom 10, okay. They qualified 11th and 12th, and Hamilton came 12th. Yes, the safety car did help him, but what a bunch of overtakes we got. I mean, absolutely fantastic for Lewis Hamilton. Brilliant. It's going to do a lot for his confidence as well, that race. And I think it's, good for Charles Leclerc as well. Hamilton passing Leclerc, making it a lot easier on him than he did Alex Albon, where he nearly got a penalty, but maybe wouldn't have done. Who knows? So, Lewis Hamilton making 8 places up. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best drives, along with Max Verstappen, I think. Race pace in Imola. So Red Bull seemed to be fastest, just under a 10th with McLaren. Then he had Ferrari about 3/10 off. Mercedes about half a second off. Mercedes really struggling. Williams about 6/10. Aston Martin about 8/10 off. Racing Bulls about a second off. And then Kick Sauber just over a second. Were Kick Sauber and Alpine and Haas 1.2 seconds off. Haas, yeah, what was going on there with Haas? That's going to most certainly raise a few eyebrows. In terms of DRS, it looks like you don't need it here. Straight line speed, 349 Stroll and Hadjar. Absolutely intense. Behrman was second. Hamilton was third. Hamilton's Ferrari was rapid in the straight line. Colapinto next on 345. Then Russell on 344. Leclerc next. In terms of where you want the McLarens, well, there were 336. And 331 respectively. Verstappen, yes, the fastest car, but only 311 in the straight line. Is that because maybe lack of DRS and slipstream, perhaps? I don't know. But interesting. Ocon 310, yeah. Not particularly good there. But this was Lewis Hamilton's radio that I'd like to show you after the race.
Andrea, all the job.
Here we go.
Proud of you.
Thanks so much, mate. Woo! What a great race, guys. Fantastic stop strategy. The car felt great today. I'm so grateful, so proud. Grazie a tutti. and for the TIFOSI, that was for them.
I mean, absolutely brilliant from Hamilton. They say you are only as good as your last race, and Hamilton is mega. Verstappen is mega, despite finishing second and third. McLaren, Oscar Piastri fell asleep at the first corner, and Lando Norris should have qualified higher, in short. So P5, let's not forget Alexander Albon. At one point, he was P3, looking like he may or may not get a podium. But there's always going to be that very rapid McLaren there. And let's not forget a certain Yuki Tsunoda suffering a massive crash in qualifying. Starts from the pit lane, goes from 20th to 10th. Now, the but is, that's very much what Sergio Perez used to do. So was it impressive? Yes. Really good for Yuki. Should give him a bit of confidence in the race. Should it have happened? No. I mean, to go out in qualifying, in the first part of qualifying, is embarrassing, especially with a crash like that. As a lot of people have suggested, yes, had this been Q3 and he'd been gunning for a top 3-4 result, almost understandable. But because of that, impressive, yeah, with a massive, I think the asterisk is bigger than the word impressive next to that, but well done. Now, this is the driver standings as we leave Imola and head into Monaco. Piastri's on 146, Norris is on second on 133. The man that's always there, behind them, looking behind them, ready to catch them. Verstappen on 124, Russell on 99, Leclerc on 61, Hamilton finally ahead of Kimi Antonelli on 53, who's Kimi's on 48, Albon on 40, Ocon on 14, Stroll on 14, and Fernando Alonso yet to score, sadly. So if you've made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. If you are already subscribed, though, hit that like button. It will make us smile. Or just watch us again. That's more than enough. Until then, speak to you soon. Thanks for watching, but above all else, stay safe. And once again, I've hit the wrong... Bye!